What'd you find, Frankie? Good morning. What'd you find, Frankie? How's my boy? Look how we've been out gardening this morning, so my cat sheet. I go through the cat sheet already on my bed most days, and he's working. Matter of fact, I probably will never buy another nice bedspread unless, for some weird reason, someday down the road I get a dog who doesn't like to sleep on the bed with me. My last two dogs, as they aged, they didn't want to hop up on the bed, and I quit helping them get up on the bed when they got older because Lucky, my big one, when he fell off the bed in his sleep, he wasn't mentally right for like 3 days, and I just wasn't sure what to do. Took him to the vet, and they said he didn't seem to have a physical injury, but it could have, hurt his brain. And to get those kind of tests would have been way too much. So I figured I would just live with it. Excuse me, and do the best I could. He finally started coming out of it, but it was also about the time. As he started getting back sort of to normal, he started getting sundowners. He was just, so I've learned not to have dogs on the bed that cannot jump up and down, regardless of steps, because they might accidentally fall off. Unless I have handrails around the bed, like get one of those bunk beds, but just have one on the ground, and I don't know. Maybe one of those sort of like Oriental beds where they're like a futon on the ground, but I'm not gonna lose sleep and be in an uncomfortable bed. I don't know. It's something to think about as I age. Because cars are getting harder to get in and out of. Mine is. Not everybody's car is as hard to get in and out of as mine is. So how are you this morning? How are you? Look at my handsome boy. So I told you how heartbroken I was that the young couple next door, they have 3 kids and a wonderful dog, sold their house. They moved out fast, and the whole neighborhood was heartbroken because nobody had a heads up at all. Somehow they missed, because I don't think they would have done it on purpose. I think they missed how likable they were and how easy it was to get attached to them and used to them. Isn't that funny? Sometimes we don't know. Because I was kind of tiffed. Because I babysat their dog every time they left town, right? I was hurt. You probably saw that video. I start putting on makeup. So, but then I realized that they appreciated me, I think they thought they were also doing an old lady a favor by having me take care of their dog, who was basically a rock star in our neighborhood. So I was so bored. I know they appreciated me to an extent. I don't think they appreciated me as much as I thought they did. That's for sure. But that's okay. Sometimes people don't realize, and sometimes they don't care, how much we like them, even love them. What they care about is living their life, getting their needs met. And that's where a lot of us mistake how other people should have what we consider common courtesy or consideration for others. It's like, well, how self-centered am I to think we had an agreement, albeit unspoken agreement, that we were close. Very self-centered. Unspoken agreements are not agreements. And they have their own families. People from dysfunctional families very often mistake friendships for chosen family. I've heard it over and over and over again. And I remember even saying it when I was young. Just because we choose someone as family, even if they are in our family, even if they are blood, doesn't mean somebody feels the same attachment. That's true. Okay, I'm going to share something with you. Change the subject for just a second. I've been using, I told you fenbendazole for my cancer treatment. Ivermectin and fenbendazole, and I had to get off of them. And the Isiac tea and the methylene blue and all of the supplemental herbs I was taking, because once again, I'll remind you, if you're an addict, if one is good, six is better. Lesson I had to learn. It was overtaxing my liver. And when cancer starts breaking up, all of a sudden, with being bombarded like that, you get acute damage to the liver. So there were a lot of things going on. So now, the over 50% of the size of the tumor, I would say it's down 65%, if not 75%. There for a while it was 95%, but it started to grow back a little bit. So I'm going to start back with the Joe Tippins, Mr. Rasmussen protocol. The tea is very time consuming, and it's hot summer, and you have to let it boil. And so I don't do a lot of cooking in summer. So I think I'd do the tea in the winter, even though you drink it cold. And I think I will do that and save the blue as well for after a couple liver enzyme function tests. The problem is that if the liver is acutely damaged, it recuperates quickly. But if you keep those numbers up high, it could cause longer term damage, from what I understand. You know, like I said, I've been researching this. So, it's a fascinating trip. And I'm just going to say, when we catch it early, there's a much better chance of survival. That's just all there is to it. So, we'll see what this great adventure has in store for me. I feel pretty good. My energy levels have increased vastly. They made a mistake. I'm actually waiting for my last week's, it usually only takes a day or two, my last week's liver function test. When I received the results, it was for a renal test, which I didn't order. And so we've been going back and forth about them retesting the blood. And they were very good about it. It's just that they said they were going to retest it. Then I didn't hear from them for a day or two. And then they, and then it was holiday weekend, and then that. And then I got an email from them yesterday saying I had to print out this document, sign it, and send it back. And it had the correction on it. But it was basically, they got mixed up, asking for the same test that they gave me wrongly. So I scratched that out and put in liver enzyme / hepatic test. So, and they only gave me 24 hours because they don't hold those blood samples forever. I don't know. So we'll see. But anyway, I'm going to test again this Friday. I just don't want to skip a week because I like the research part of it. Like, this is what happened 1 week. I want it consistent. But that's just me. What are you going to do? Not always going to get my way, but I want it. Whatever. See what happens. So how are y'all? How are you? You know, I was going to share something with you. I was out on my walk with Frankie, and we were watering. I was thinking about, I watch every once in a while for background noise and just to learn a little something in the back of my head. I will listen to a podcast like from Dark Horse because they talk. They have a higher vocabulary than I usually have, and I love that. So I like listening to them, and I'll listen to what's the name of that guy? Something CEO. You know what I'm talking about. Something of a CEO. So if you go to YouTube and put of a CEO, you'll get it. He's got millions of followers. And sometimes it's pretty interesting. But when you're talking to somebody, as long as some of those podcasts go, a couple things happen, in my opinion. People start acting a little tipsy or tired or silly or giddy or very vulnerable, and they'll share something that they might not normally share. So that's what makes it interesting to me, is how's this going to break down? Not in a bad way, but just mathematically, how do we break down this math equation? But being a human being is going to, when you're tired and you're talked out, not everybody is designed to basically lecture or be on for 3 hours straight. And they usually are for 1, 2, or 3 hours straight. Few of the podcasts of his that I've heard have been under an hour or two. It's kind of like a much more sophisticated Joe Rogan, where they're just hours and hours of chit-chat, conversation. Most of it doesn't even add up to anything. It's just that they're yapping. They're just yapping. But sometimes, they will share something that's just really good. And you're like, wow, how did they share that? How did that happen? I like that. That happens sometimes, especially when people get tired. Their parts of the personality will surface. Like, when I get tired, depending on who I'm with and how they're asking questions. If it's a friend, I get softer and softer as I get tired and more affectionate, When I go visit my friend Cindy, we sleep together because we fall asleep just yapping. And when we finally fall asleep after, analyzing something to the nth degree, to where we're looping around saying the same thing. That happens a lot too, when people just keep talking and talking and talking. It's like, okay, we already went around this bend. So, But if it's with someone like a new friend or so-called friend or new lover or a new neighbor, it's not, I don't think it's a good idea to talk too long. I don't. Because why? Because we can start to feel interrogated. Even if they're not asking you a lot of questions, just being engaged and the conversation going on, we start to feel like we have to come up with appropriate answers. Not everyone feels genuinely engaged and open and honest about how they feel, which takes less energy. It takes less energy to be open and honest and genuine. So when the conversation starts to lag, or you get that funny feeling like, how do I get out of this conversation even though I want to stay in it? It's time to get out. Even if you have to say my house is on fire, sometimes it's time to go. For me, I've learned, especially this last couple months with me being so tired, is that I will, and this is why I don't email much or hardly text, is because I will say, and I have done this, so it's not just a concern, it's a valid precaution I take, is I will leave out a word, or the sentence will come across harsher than I would ever mean it to be. But when I proofread it before I send it, I don't see it because my brain isn't thinking right. Especially when my body is what I call sick, ick. Stuff is going on. And when your body's not right, especially when it has to do with a vital organ, the brain isn't able to process well because there's toxicity through the whole body. Yeah. Think about that. The body and the brain are always talking to each other. There's very often something going on in the body that can affect the brain. They're finding that out with dementia. People were more willing to experiment with different repurposed drugs. You might find, especially with dementia, Alzheimer's, they're saying that methylene blue, I might be saying methylene wrong. I don't know. It's M blue, M something blue. And bye, baby. They're saying it works really good with some people. And why not try it? The thing is, people say, well, it turns your tongue blue. Who cares? And I was taking it for probably almost a month before I quit everything. And I felt like it improved my energy a little bit at first, until my liver was just acting up, and then I found out it was. But I was just drinking it because they'll say, take it this way or that way, I don't know. But I was putting it in just a very, my smallest glass, the smallest on the bottom glass, shortest glass. It's like it's a little bit bigger than a shot glass. It's like a 3 ounce little jar. I got some honey samples in, and I put some whatever juice I had, and then that, and some what other liquid tincture I had, wormwood, say that 3 times, zinc, and something else I can't pronounce. Like I said, I was taking a lot of different stuff. And suck it down in a straw, and it wouldn't turn your tongue blue. And here's my thing. if they say to me, wow, this is the best kept secret since blah, blah, blah. And then they say, no, surgery, radiation, chemo, those are your choices. And if you don't do those things, which also means biopsies, biopsy, surgery, chemo, radiation, biopsy, surgery, chemo, and all the x-rays that go with it, which is, to me, sounds like torture. Oh, hold on. I will come right back.